The story about owning a house at the age of 24. I started going out with my now wife when I was 19. One day she rang me to say that a relative of hers had asked her if her brother could borrow some money to purchase some car parts that were very cheap. I suggested she say no to him, but she said she could not do that. As with many such situations, the relative did not pay back the money, but another relative did on his behalf. My later to become wife asked me what she should do if the relative were to ask her for the money again, as she was still not able to say no to him. I asked her why she had the savings. She answered that she'd always saved and it had become a habit. I asked her what she was saving for, to which she said nothing in particular. I suggested that savings should have a purpose and she should spend money, her savings, on something that would increase in value, such as land. That way, if the relative were to come asking for money again, she could honestly say no longer, so that she should no longer had it. I don't recall if he ever did ask for the money again, but he did become a non-relative because of a divorce. The amount my wife had was nowhere near enough to purchase a block of land in the areas where we both lived, nor was it enough to purchase land anywhere. Consequently, she purchased land within a satellite town and took out a personal 2-year loan to cover the shortfall. This had the additional benefit in that the relative could be told that in addition to not having any money to lend, she also had a commitment to repay. Okay. A bit after that, we made the decision to get married, and I helped her to pay off the loan such that it was fully paid in less than 12 months, with the last payment being made the week before we got married. Okay, I'm missing a photo there. All right. We spent the first 5 years of our married life living in a small, low-cost rented one-bedroom flat. This was in contrast to some of our friends and relatives who were either renting an entire house or had purchased new houses and took out consequentially relatively large mortgages. I had suggested to an older cousin that we would save for 3 years and then start to build a house. She said that I would not be able to do that because at the time, that is the mid-70s, any saving would be eaten up by rampant inflation. I distinctly remember the Liberal Party running a TV ad where a young male person said that although they were saving a certain amount per week, that because of inflation, that house prices were increasing faster than the amount being saved. I wonder how many young couples decided to take out large mortgages because of this. Other than taking out a mortgage, we lived in a lifestyle much the same as our friends and relatives, but we saved over $15,000 in 3 years. This was helped along quite a bit by the high interest rates at the time. If you have a look at that table there, you can see what the interest rates were at various periods of time. Because we would put our savings in multiple fixed deposits. I remember we had over a dozen then at one stage. We also realised that not only were we earning interest, but we're all earning interest on the interest. That is, when a fixed deposit would mature, we would reinvest it and the interest in a new fixed deposit. We also discovered that because we're able to combine some of these fixed deposits, so having higher amounts to invest, they were able to get a higher interest rate. Although we had $15,000, the cost of building the average 3-bedroom house at the time was over $20,000. We could have gotten a builder to build a house for us and taken out a relatively small mortgage, but I figured that there must be a reasonable amount of profit for the builder, which we could save by being owner builders, a term that was not being used at that time. From the time we started building until we moved in was 3 months. Not bad considering most professional builders at the time were taking 6 months. Our $15,000 saving did not last very long. But rather than go to the bank and borrow money, we utilised trade credit. Now, trade credit is what businesses give one another when they buy and sell goods and services. When a business purchases something from another business, they typically get 30 days trading terms. That means they have to pay for what they have purchased 30 days or the next month after the month of the purchase took place in. Now, the best thing about trade credit is it costs nothing. The interest rate is zero, Z-E-R-O, zero, meaning you pay no interest. So how did we, non-businesses, get these trading terms? By utilising the tradespeople we were using to do the construction. The carpenter we contracted was able to get us 90 days trading terms, that's credit, with the local hardware store. Luckily, my father was working in a plumbing supply business at the time, and he was able to also get us 90 days credit. By making the purchases at the beginning of every month, we were able to effectively give another month credit. Of course, we had to make sure we're able to pay the respective amounts when they fall due. This required a bit of planning, but it was all known information. We knew when the amounts had to be paid and also knew what we were getting paid in the jobs we had, so never purchase more than what we could earn in the free credit time. It is easy to do these type of calculations if you work at it. Okay. However, that was still not enough to be able to get our house to the point where we were able to move in. So we then used free personal credit cards. Banks will give you free credit for a period of time. Credit. You make purchases during the month and then pay for those at some time in the next month. When we were utilising it, the banks did not request payment until the end of the following month. That's changed now, and the banks want it in the middle of the next month. Again, we made sure that we did not purchase. We did our purchasing at the beginning of the month to maximise the free credit period. I've since discovered that tradespeople utilise free trade credit and personal credit card free credit on top of their trade credit by utilising their credit card to pay their trade credit, so increasing the trade credit free time they have. Great if you're a tradesperson. The important thing with the free trade credit period is not going beyond the time period for which you get the credit for free, because if you do, you are then paying interest, and that interest would be more than what you'd be paying on a housing loan. Planning is extremely important, so you do not pay any interest. We had made arrangements with the bank to be able to take out a housing loan, but never had to do so. It is always good to have a backup plan in case something goes wrong. I've lost the other thing, damn it. Okay, I'm going to have to go to the tab there. Okay. All right, just excuse me a minute. I want to show some photos of the house, and that's not going to come up, so we won't be able to do that. Okay, really great. Okay, just bear with me for a second while I show some photos of the house that we built. This is the house that Jeff and Marg built. Okay. Okay. quickly find them. I had this all set up, but for some reason or other, I must have closed it off. Scan photos. Scan photo albums. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway. Okay. Whatever we could, we did as much work on the house ourselves. That included drawing up plans, making applications for permits and the like, digging trenches, painting, tiling, supervising, purchasing materials, engaging contractors and tradespeople. However, we also paid some builders a modest sum to occasionally give an opinion of the work that tradespeople had done. As I said earlier, we moved into our house 3 months earlier than after we started building. But that house was far from finished. It was not painted, had no floor coverings, no curtains, and some rooms had not been finished. But it was cheaper to live in a house that we owed nothing on than paying rent. Over the years, we finally finished the house while living in it. This was a saving again, as we did not have to travel back and forth to the construction site. And also, it was also not a particularly fancy house and did not have anything fantastic in the way of finishings. But we owned it outright, and I was only 24 years old. Whoop, wrong one. Okay. Some may say this could not have been done. Although this could be done in the past, it cannot be done now. I agree wholeheartedly, in respect that land prices are currently increasing quite rapidly. But presently, inflation, compared to what it was when we were building, which was running at about 17%, is extremely low. We built our house quickly because building costs were increasing very fast. But now they are not. So there's less need to build fast. You can save a bit of money and then build a bit and continue to do that. Build as you earn money. Okay, that's basically it. There's the whole story about it if you want to read about it. All right, I'll put a link at the bottom of this YouTube video in the notes down below, so you can go and read all about that. You also may want to read about an alphabetical list of ways not to spend money. So I'll put a link to that there as well. Other than that, that's it. See you later.